Yo, welcome back. Today we're doing slicing solids, and there were some notes that went with this that had some videos and talked about definitions of prisms, pyramids, and polyhedra and cross sections. So I'm assuming you went through that before watching this. So the first question is describe each shape as precisely as you can. All right, so this is the green shape is a triangle prism. All right, because it has two identical, I don't know if you call that bases or tops and bottoms. Okay, but there's two, as opposed to the pyramid that has one base and is made up of triangles that meet at the vertex at the top. So this here is a triangle prism, and this is a triangular pyramid. All right, so and then if you were to think about slicing these shapes, so if you cut this shape like a like two pieces of bread, all right, so you sliced it that way, then you would have like a triangle, two triangle shaped pieces. It would look like this, like, all right, you gotta use your imagination with this, so it's a little bit tricky to describe. All right, so then if you cut this vertically up and down and cut this piece and or cut a piece of this, you would have a rectangle shaped piece like this. If you cut it like down here and cut it down this way. All right. And here, if you cut this like here, and then you just cut it across the middle horizontally, okay, then you would end up with a shape of a rectangle, like right here. You would have a rectangle shape, something like that right there, okay, as opposed to if you cut this vertically. Let me try that one more again, like down this way, vertically up and down, you would get a triangle shape, okay, that would look like two pieces shaped like this triangle shape here. All right, and this last shape, I don't even know what to call this shape right here. It's like a complex polyhedron or square pyramid, maybe. Okay, square pyramid. And if you cut it across horizontally, like if you cut it here, but all the way through, you'd have like a rectangular shape, something like that. If you cut it across horizontally, all right, but then if you cut it vertically, like this way, let me see, cut it this way, but all the way through, you still would have like a rectangular shape that would come like this, and then it would come like this. It would just be right down the peak, I guess you would call it. You would still have a rectangle shape as well, something like that. All right, so go ahead and put those descriptions down here, like down here in this section. Put a brief description, and then right here you can put at the top a name for each shape, okay, that I talked about just now. All right, so go ahead and do that and pause. All right, let's keep it moving. All right, next section, it says, what is the cross section? Here's a rectangle prism and a pyramid with the same base and height, okay, 2 by 4. Think about slicing each solid parallel to its base halfway up. What shape would each cross section be? Was it the same about the two cross sections? What is the same and what is different? Okay, so say we cut this one here. Okay, you're going to get something like a rectangle. It's not straight, but you get the idea. Maybe I could do better. Let me try one more time. Boom. Something like that. That's a little bit better. And then say you cut this one in the middle. Okay. Something like this. So you would get a rectangle. What shape would each be? They would be a rectangle. So go ahead and write that in your notes. Rectangle. What is the same and what is the difference? Okay, the same is they're both rectangles. Okay, and you can write this in your notes. And what's different is that this is going to be the same size rectangle, and this rectangle is going to get smaller as you go higher up the pyramid. Okay, think about next question. So go ahead and write that in your notes real quick. Okay. Think about slicing each solid parallel to its base near the top. What would each cross section be? Would it is the same? Is that not the same question? Oh, think about halfway up. This is halfway up, and this is near the top. Okay, so if you took it a little bit higher here, I think I already answered that question. Okay, so imagine you did this one here and you did this one here. Well, again, they would both be rectangles, but they would be different sizes. Okay, so go ahead and fill that in your notes, and I'll pause it right here for a second so you can do that. All right, let's keep it moving. Okay, are you ready for more? Describe the cross section that would result from doing a perpendicular cut. Okay, so perpendicular would be like this to the base. Okay, so then you're going to get something like this on this shape. And then you're going to get something like this on this shape. You can kind of see by the drawing there, but so go ahead and answer that question right at the bottom. Describe the difference in the shapes that you would get if you cut these perpendicular. I'll pause it again so you can do that. All right, keeping it moving. All right, so we're not doing a card. Draw and describe each cross section. Here's a picture of a rectangle prism, 4 units by 2 by 3. A plane cuts the prism parallel to the bottom and top faces. The plane moves up and cuts the prism at different lengths. Okay, well, they already drew it, so they must want you to describe it. So go ahead and put a description there real quick of what happens when you do as they describe and make the different types of cuts, so cross sections. So it's the same as the top part. So go ahead and put a description in there, and I'll pause it while you do that. All right, let's keep it moving. A vertical plane cuts the prism diagonally. Next question is a square pyramid has a base that is 4 units by 4 units. Its height is also 4 units. A plane cuts the pyramid parallel to the base. A vertical plane cuts the prism. Okay, so basically they want you to put in descriptions for each of these scenarios. So I'm going to pause it here while you take about 3 minutes to go ahead and describe each cross section. All right, go ahead and do that now. All right. Next page is last page before the summary. It's a little bit trickier. There are some complex shapes here. It says a plane cuts off the corner. Well, they highlight it for you so you can see pretty clearly what kind of shape it makes, and the plane moves farther from the corner and makes a cut. Okay, 1 2 3 4 5 1 2 3 4 5 6. Okay, so all right, so go ahead and describe it. This one down here has 6 sides, so you can use that in your description. Go ahead and take 2 or 3 minutes to put the description of each of these cross section in your notes. All right, take a moment to do that. All right, so once you're done that, you can take a look at the summary talking about cross sections and give some more examples. If you got any questions, ask me in class. Other than that, peace.